Hello and welcome to another Dungeoncrawler Gamejam video series. In this pilot episode I want to cover all the basics, so that in all the following episodes we got these out of the way already and can focus on the individual entries exclusively. You can find a playlist for the whole series with all episodes published so far down in the video description. In this video we will cover the following topics. What is a dungeon crawler and what is a game jam? What is the rule set for this game jam? How are games rated and what role do I play? And what can you expect in the videos to come? And with that, let's briefly talk about the terms dungeon crawler and game jam in case you're not familiar with them yet. A game jam is an event where developers get together to create games within a limited amount of time. In some jams, developers meet at a physical location, but in this jam everything is done online. Developers can decide themselves if they want to go solo, if they bring teammates or join an existing team. They have to make sure that their game is sent in before the given timeframe ends, and in this case, this timeframe was from the 1st to the 8th of April, so a full week. Depending on the jam, these submissions are then rated and winners are determined. I will come back to that a little bit later. Now to the term dungeon crawler. By the definition of dungeoncrawlers.org, dungeon crawlers are games like Dungeon Master, Wizardry 1-7 and the Eye of the Beholder series, as well as more recent games like Legends of Emberland and Operencia. The common thing in these games is that they all got step-based movement on a grid. In some games these steps are instant. In some games there is an animated transition, but you will never stop in between two tiles of a grid. And while mouse look is possible in some modern games, they must have an option to do 90-degree turns to make a total of 4 directions you can move to. Not fewer, but also not more. So while Might and Magic 1-5 as well as 10 are dungeon crawlers by that definition, Might and Magic 6, 7, 8 and 9 as well as Wizardry 8 and Realms of Arcania 3 are not, because in these games you have a free movement system and not a step-based system on a grid. One thing which is not required, however, even though the name might imply it, is an actual dungeon. Whether you're roaming around in a spaceship or an office building, that's totally fine. There are some other rules, such as having a character stat and some form of combat, but these are a bit adjusted for the jam. And with that, let's have a look into the jam rules. So besides of the grid movement I just mentioned, the jam rules specify that the game sent in must have some basic stats, such as hit points and a way to increase them, and that there needs to be a win condition as well as a fail condition. Furthermore, the games need to implement the theme of the jam in some way, which was duality. While some of the requirements, such as having the grid with 90-degree turns and combat, are being considered as definitive must-haves and could lead to disqualifications, other requirements were a bit more lenient. A game where the developer didn't manage to implement a win condition and an end screen wasn't automatically disqualified, for example, but might have taken a hit in the score instead. It was totally up to you if you wanted to work on the game solo or with a huge team, and also which engine you used. You could also use external assets and reuse scripts and assets you did previously. The game itself needed to be put together during the jam though. This is mostly handled via the honor system, which doesn't mean that games couldn't get disqualified for violating this rule. Let's get to the topic of how games were rated. In total, there were about 200 games sent in, but a bunch got disqualified and in the end around 170 were eligible for ratings. Rating happened by 2 different and basically independent systems, which also had separated prize pools. First, there's the community vote. Community in this case means everyone who participated in the jam and not everyone in general. And of course you couldn't vote for your own game. There were various categories you could vote in, and the overall result was then an average of these. The community vote ended on the 22nd of April, and this is also what you can see on the ranking on the itch.io page. Until that point, the game on the jam page could also not be updated. And then there are the votes by the judges. Among the judges were some developer celebrities, like developers from Legend of Grimrock, Eye of the Beholder and The Quest, the admin and host of this jam, and a few community members such as myself. We didn't have strict criteria to go for, and not everyone had the time to play through all of the 170 games, but we did have some more time available. And of course we needed to make sure we are still playing the original versions. In the end, every judge sent in his top 5 picks and additional runner-ups. The total results were announced on the 7th of May. I wanted to make sure I played all of the games and gave all of them a chance. I wanted to record my playthroughs and to spend at least like 15 minutes on each of them, unless I already saw everything in the game before that time frame. On average, that duration is much higher though, and I think I actually completed the majority of the entries. I recorded a total of 171 games. 2 of the games which could have been rated I couldn't play due to the game not working properly on my machine, and I'm still beyond that number of 170 games, as these include some games which got disqualified, but which I wanted to show anyways. This resulted in almost 100 hours of footage recorded in 3 weeks. While I want to show the game to anyone interested in these videos, the intention of these videos is also to give direct and genuine feedback to the developers who can see where players might struggle and what goes well and what doesn't. Keep in mind though that these videos are direct recordings, and while my feedback is genuine and hopefully constructive, I might be perceived as blunt at times. I'm not a fan of sugarcoating in general, and with 170 games played, the level of directness might also vary a bit. That said, it's never meant in a demeaning way, and I appreciate the effort put into every single game which was sent in. Also keep in mind that I'm only showing my own opinion here. I do not represent the entirety of the judges. So what can you expect to see in the videos to come? As mentioned, there are about 170 videos with about 100 hours of total runtime. I'm going to release new videos every few days. They are not in any particular order, and mostly by the random order I tested them in, so that you will have entries of various ratings all over the place and not the best rated games all in the first episodes. I might release some videos earlier where it seems like the feedback is more valuable. For example, if the developer plans to do updates or even release a commercial version. Just comment below in case you got any requests, and I will adjust accordingly. Of course, by the time you see the video, there is a decent chance that an update has already been released, so if you check out the game yourself, you might find a version where any issues I encountered are fixed already. Whether you are a developer or not, if you are interested in joining the crawler community, then check out Dungeoncrawlers.org. And that's it for this pilot episode. Thanks to everyone who participated in the jam, and also thanks to everyone who either checks out the games on itch.io or has a look into some of the videos. Have fun and happy crawling!